Well, good morning from the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous 2017. It's Friday morning. A lot of people have come in here to the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous this year. Nobody seems to know exactly how many are here, but it's definitely in the hundreds. One of the interesting developments this week is that the noise and chaos here at the camp has actually gotten to the point that the founder, Bob Wells, has actually moved out of camp about a half-mile down the road because partying got out of hand. So kind of an unfortunate thing that sometimes happens when you get this many people packed together in one place. It'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out and if the RTR ends up continuing. Bob expressed in a video he put up yesterday that he's not sure he'll continue it at this point. So, but I'm off for an early morning walk on Friday, and it's damp and supposed to rain, cloudy, supposed to rain later, but still a nice morning for a walk. There's hardly anybody up around camp. It's nice and quiet, so I'm off for a walk. I've heard there's a stone labyrinth not too far from where we're camped. We're on the north side of the RTR gathering, and I'm going to head off and see if I can find out this morning. Here's a quick view from the north side of camp, looking at all the various rigs that are parked around here. And this is just a small sampling of the number of people that are actually here at the RTR this year. This is all in the main camping area, just on the north edge of it. And then as you come around, we'll see even out in the desert here, this is what some people are jokingly referring to as overflow parking, but it's kind of across a wash or two, and there's actually parking out here as well because it's so crowded in the main camping area. Now, the vegetation out here is just amazingly varied. One of the things that was a surprise to me when I first came to the desert about a year and a half ago now, in Arizona. I'd always pictured it as a flat, sandy wasteland, and it's really, there's quite a bit of various plants and even wildlife, and there's some mountains, although they're small compared to the mountains I'm used to in the Northeast or in Montana and Wyoming, but still, there's just a lot of varied plant life and terrain out here, and it's far from boring or dull. It's just definitely different, but it's fascinating how varied it is and how life manages to persist even in some of these harshest conditions. So I found the stone labyrinth on my way back to camp. I'd given up and was heading back because I have a lot of work to get done today, but here it is. One of the things that is interesting about the desert, as I mentioned earlier, is really not as flat and barren as people tend to think. And as a result, it's real easy to get lost out here because you can lose things just beyond a small rise or just beyond a bush or a tree. And this is an example. I missed it the first time by because I was just on the wrong side of a wash and it was out of sight. So it's now, as I say, it's now Friday on the first week of the RTR 2017. I didn't get to record too much footage yesterday. I have that new minivan, and it is set up to charge the house battery off the engine, but it doesn't really give me enough power. Unless I drive a lot, it doesn't give me enough power to run the laptop off of. It'll work alright for the phones. So I had to go into town yesterday and use electricity. I've been piggybacking for electric off my friend I'm camped next to, but she also had to go into town yesterday, so I had to go into town so I could plug in to the grid and work for a few hours. Didn't get back till about dark, but I did capture a few shots of the sunset yesterday morning, which was really nice. I'll show those to you now. But other than that, I didn't get too much footage done yesterday. So we'll see what today brings. It's supposed to rain today, especially this afternoon, so we'll see between work and the rain how much I get out, how much I'm able to do. And I mentioned earlier that there were a few noise issues in camp this year with a larger crowd. But I thought it might be worth mentioning too that those issues are basically dogs barking and being allowed to bark incessantly, and music, from what I've been hearing and what I've experienced. But it's basically confined to the inner area of camp, and as I showed you earlier, there's just a ton of area you can park outside of the main camp area where it's getting pretty crowded. So you can there's just thousands of acres of desert out here where you can get some nice peace and quiet. So if you're coming in still this year and noise is a concern, you might want to think about parking on the perimeter a little further away from the main camp area where it'll be quieter. And actually, if you're coming in this year still, it's so crowded in the main camp area, you may also want to just park on the perimeter. a lot of people have done that, and they just walk in when they want to socialize or when they're coming in for an event, and it's working out real well for them. So that's something for you to think about too for this year, for the 2017 RTR here in Quartzsite, Arizona. So we'll see you in the next video.